G'day everyone and welcome back to Starseeds and Patriots of Down Under. I don't know what happened to my camera there. How are we all today? It's the 1st of June already. Can you believe it? Wow, geez, this year has gone so fast, and I don't know where this time is going, but it feels like a slipstream, doesn't it? That you're just gliding through it really quickly, and that time seems to be just the cycle of time seems to be speeding up. Do any of you all feel it as well? I know I'm feeling it because yeah, it feels really weird, and there's definitely a lot of things happening. You can feel, if you don't feel it, then I'm not sure what's going on for you, but I know that I feel it, and many of the people that I speak to, including Whistleblower Bob and my friend Jamie from Wisconsin in the US, to a friend of mine in Victoria, another friend of mine in New Zealand, another mate of mine in North Queensland. We're all feeling very similar effects of things going on right now behind the scenes, how energy is moving and how some of the things that we're surmising, talking about, seem to be actually playing out and actually happening. So it kind of shows when we speak about something about a week or a few days before or a couple of weeks before, and all of a sudden you see data and intel coming out that shows certain events or operations or things moving, happening behind the scenes, actually happening, corresponds and correlates perfectly with what you said only previously. It kind of really sets the tone for how much you actually are in tune and feeling your way through what's going on right now, not just seeing, feeling, but feeling now. Okay. But it's actually really quite interesting just to see how quickly things will move now that there has been so-called verdict given out over yesterday about Mr. T. I believe it's all part of the plan, but not to worry about any of that. That's all taken care of. Yes, as I say, trust the plan. And that I do. The reason why I'm doing this today, as you all see, I'm here to talk about some more of my own personal experiences. This is part three. Some more of my experiences in my 30s that I had, or sorry, late 20s to early 30s, that I'd just like to share with all of you. Some pretty amazing, interesting experiences to say the least. But what do you say we get to it? Okay, so one of the first experiences that I'd like to share with you all today, there's been many experiences right up until now, but one of the first ones I'd like to share with you today specifically is an experience that happened to me up in Cairns back around about 1992. Yeah, 1991, 1992. Okay, so I was 18 and 19 years of age. Okay, long time ago now, 31 years ago. Yeah, long time. But this one particular night, I'm in Cairns and I'm sitting back with my flatmate Leonard. And this particular weekend, with a couple of days before payday from work, and we're sitting back and I'm having a beer in the lounge room. He's in the lounge room with me. I'm sitting on the couch, and we're listening to some music. Okay? I'm watching the LEDs on the EQ and the equalizer going up and down, the bass, the mid range, and the treble. I'm sitting there on the couch. It's only other flatmates' couch, and in front of me is a coffee table made out of a V8 diff. Oh no, sorry, not a gearbox. Sorry, a V8 gearbox, all shined up with a nice big piece of tempered glass on top of it. Anyway, I'm sitting there listening to the music, and of all things that we're listening to, because I was into a bit of everything back then, from dance music to surf punk rock music to all sorts of different stuff, even rap, I was into all sorts of stuff. As we are, finding our way when we're 19. But this particular night, we're sitting there listening to a group called the Butthole Surfers. For any of you who know who the Butthole Surfers are, weird name as it is. This was song this specific song was called I'm Flying. Yeah, synchronistic. Okay, because anything that I was doing next was anything but flying, it was falling. Okay, but anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm watching these EQs going up and down to the point where I'm actually nodding off. My eyes are going to close. I'm going into what most would call a meditative state. Okay, I'm actually sitting there just watching these things. I feel my eyes falling. Okay, and I'm sitting there with my arm holding my beer still in my hand at the time. And next thing you know, I've leaped over that V8 gearbox that's made up as a coffee table in one giant, like, ballerina leap. Okay, whilst my body's still sitting on the couch. Okay, still sitting on the couch behind. Okay, I've leaped over this thing, but I didn't land on the floor. I'm like floating, like with my legs floating in the air. And I look back over my shoulder like that, and I can see myself sitting in the chair, still holding the beer, but with my eyes slightly ever so open. Okay. And the moment I looked back forward, I looked up. And as I looked up, I could see this distant little point of white light. And I was in a tunnel that was like streaking past me so quickly, but I was in a stable spot, floating. And as I said, the moment I looked back and I looked up and I saw all this, I was thrust back with my legs in the air like that. Okay, so I'm moving down like that, really fast, back into my body. And as I hit my body, I've convulsed forward. Okay, and I've dropped my beer. It's gone spilled everywhere. Okay, I found out I got my beer from my flatmate later. Okay, Leonard told me later that I'd spilled my beer and he cleaned it up. It didn't matter. Okay, but I've gotten up out of my chair. I'm running around the house. My eyes are dilated. My hair is standing on end. Okay, my goosebumps on my arms are all over, standing up, but it feels like my skin is on fire. Like, not fire, but like it feels like it's highly charged static electricity, like hundreds of millions of pins and needles that have got an electric charge going through them, all hit me at once. And I was running around the house screaming for about a good 35 minutes, apparently. I had no memory of this. My flatmate Leonard told me all of what I did later, because I had no memory of what I did later. I had memory of me leaping over the actual coffee table, floating in that spot, and then looking back, as I said, seeing myself sitting in the chair, and then looking back forward, looking up, and falling very fast with my legs in the air until I hit my body and convulsed forward. Okay. Leonard was so worried for me because he'd never seen me like this. Now, at this point in time, I also must remind everyone that in this point in my life, I wasn't, as most of you know, in my past stories and information and videos that I've done, I've been very open and honest with every one of you about my past and how I've actually gotten through all of that. Okay, but I used to be in addiction when I was younger. Okay, at this point in time, when I was going through this particular experience, I wasn't on drugs. Okay, I didn't do drugs at this point in time. Okay, I only smoked a little bit of pipe for pain relief for my back and my leg from my near-death experience, because I got one leg shorter than the other, which tilts my pelvis and gives me spinal curvature, etc. And I also have hip displacement every now and again. And so at that point in time, I was only using it medicinally for that as well. Okay, but no chemicals of any sort, of any other sort of drug. Okay, drugs were off the table. They weren't even part of my life at that point in time. Okay, Leonard's given me the whole cold shower. He just threw me in there. And I was in there for about a good 45 minutes. And the whole time that I was in there, he was apparently asking me, "Are you okay? Are you all right? What can I do?" And my eyes were still dilated, but I was in the shower, on the shower pan floor, shaking uncontrollably. And the only two words I could muster was can't speak. Can't speak. You know, and it shook him because he'd never seen anything like that come out of me. And we'd been friends at that point. Well, we were friends since 13. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 6 years. Okay. 6 years in that, all that time, he'd never seen anything like that happen with me. Okay. So it was very out of character for something like this to happen. And he was worried about his mate. You know, I mean, it was scary for me because I'd never experienced anything like that. Nothing like that. And I still to this day don't know exactly what that tunnel was or where I went to or what I had actually experienced outside my body other than what I have the memory of that I've just shared with you. Okay. Now, that was by far one of the freakiest in the sense of how I came back bang, you know, convulsed forward. Like I'm pretty sure what I can put that down to is my first memory of really actually achieving out of body experience without actually wanting to do it or trying to do it. It's just something that happened naturally and organically, and it scared the shit out of me. Okay, it scared the shit out of me. Since then, from 19 to now 50, going on 51 years of age, it's a different story. Something that I now embrace, something that I actually look forward to when I have it happen. You know, I'm looking forward always to the next one. Okay, when it happens, I'm filled with absolute joy because the memories that I have when I come back. So I've always memories. I retain my memory. That's the best thing about all this is that I actually retain the memories and I come back and I write them down. Yeah, that's some amazing ones coming up shortly in my next part 4. Some experiences that happened in my 40s where I actually got to write down a lot of them. When you're younger, you don't get a lot of time to write it down, but having a good memory helps. Okay. Okay. But those experiences, you're going to really enjoy those ones because this is where it comes down to the nitty gritty of me remembering who I was. You know, and I've already mentioned that I had memories of Eridu and things like that in previous videos. Eridu being the capital city of Sumer, one of the capital cities of Sumer back in 450,000 BC. And I've gone into that before, but you're going to like these next videos. So what do you think about that particular story, everyone? That's something that I still can't put a finger on to this day of exactly where I went during that out-of-body experience or what was on the other side of that point of light on the other end of the tunnel. Don't know what that was, but all I know is that I had an experience that I can't explain, and it was freaky as hell. Okay, and it was me having my first out-of-body experience without wanting to try or do it, wanting to do it. Okay, next experience that I would like to speak about is my apartment in Earlville. Now, this is a bit freaky, this one. Just excuse for a sec. I do apologize about that. Just wanted to mute the mic for a sec so I can have a quick cough. But yes, this particular experience that happened in Earlville in Cairns, North Queensland, Australia, was when I was 19. Okay, I was still living in the same city at the same time. I was up there for a period of about 2 years. Okay, and working in nightclubs, you know, DJing, all sorts of stuff, bar work. You know, I'm living in my flat, and this one particular night, I'm with my friend Ben on a phone call at a girl's place who's on the other side of town. Now, Ben's not with me, he's at her place on the phone with me, with her. Now, back then, we didn't have speakerphone. Okay, so it's the old 1980s thing where you put the phone up to your ear and you've got a friend listening here to the earpiece, so she could hear as well what I was responding and replying with. Okay, so and Ben's a flamboyantly beautiful, awesome human being. You know, brilliant hairdresser. You know, gay and inspiring and joyful and jovial. Okay, he's a very flamboyant individual, but he also takes love and those sorts of parts of life very. He treasures them. Okay, and he likes to help where he can. He's essentially playing matchmaker. Okay, now this girl Michelle that I used to live with was who he was with on the phone, and Ben was helping Michelle and I kind of achieve getting together. And Michelle was very special to me. And unfortunately, she went through some crap when my flatmate at the time, Todd, uh, won't say his last name, but Todd was a very, how can you say, oh, the words kind of evade me right now, but he was very, very out there when it came to women. The words escape me right now. But anyway, she was just one of the many that he used. So, and Michelle was very special to me. She was my friend before he met her. And I didn't appreciate how he was treating her. But at the same time, he was a mate as well, and I didn't want to rock the boat too much. But in the end of the day, he ended up taking off, which was probably the best thing. She ended up letting her be free, um, and possibly for me to pursue. And that's where Ben came into play. This phone call this particular night, and we were talking about how much I was talking also about how much I actually liked expressing my feelings and actually letting her know. She had the phone at this time and he was listening in. Yeah, and Ben took back over the phone and actually said, would you like to do a meditation? And I was like, okay, I've never really done a meditation. I'm going to call in. This is my first real introduction to galactic energies and things like that. And I was a bit, back then, 19, didn't really know too much about what I know. So I was a little bit skeptical, a little bit apprehensive, but I thought, okay, I'll jump in and actually see what this does. Okay. And anyway, Michelle quite happily just jumped in. She was like, cool. Ben's holding her hand. He's holding the phone. Okay, to his ear. I'm at the other end of the city in Earlville. Okay. I've got the phone to my ear. Now remember, phones, like old wall phones or Telstra phones, they have speakers in them. Speakers have drivers, and those drivers are attached to magnets, which create magnetic fields. Now, through this meditation, I seem to just drop off. I dropped off into meditative state. And next thing you know, I see myself looking directly at Michelle. Don't know how it happened. Okay. What I'm getting at here is that I'd left my body again, but I was looking directly at her. Okay. Like I was eye to eye level with her. Okay. And for some curious reason, Michelle obviously looked up. She opened her eyes and looked up. She saw Ben there, and she instantly pulled her hand away. Something scared her. Okay. Now, the moment that she pulled her hand away, I was sucked back into my body. Okay. Back on the other side of town. And I said to Ben, why did Michelle let go? He goes, how did you know that? I said, mate, what's going to blow your mind is actually her answer. He goes, but how did you know? I said, because I saw. Okay. But what did she see that forced her? That's going to blow your mind. So he asked her, and I was listening in. He said, Michelle, why did you break connection? We were right into it. I was speaking, he obviously wasn't aware that she'd opened her eyes and looked up. But whatever she saw scared her enough to break connection and let go of hands. Okay. Her answer was that when I opened my eyes then and looked up during you talking to us during the meditation, it was more so a meditation and a blessing. Okay. She goes, I saw Chris's face floating over the top of yours, like it was floating there, super, like just looking straight back at me. And he was like, I said, see, Ben? I said, I don't know how I did it, Ben, but I said, I was looking straight at her. I said, I saw her hand break connection. And I knew that she was looking straight at me. And he goes, that's incredible. He goes, she's just validated oh my God, Chris. And unfortunately, to this day, over 31 years this year, 32 years now, I've not seen Michelle since. The fact that she saw me and however I did it, scared her enough to break the connection, but also break contact for the rest of her life. Which is sad because she's very dear to me. But also, must look at the broader picture, is that without her doing what she did, I would never have met my wife if Michelle and I had gotten together. And I would not have had my beautiful daughter. Everything happens for a reason. Okay? Maybe Michelle now, after 31 years, has come full circle from that night and actually embraced these sorts of things and is now able to possibly do them herself. And so, who knows? Be curious to find out. But another curious story of my personal experiences. And I put that down to, again, another out of body experience where I was not so much out of body, but I think it's more so maybe an astral projection of myself, a portion of myself where she saw a portion of my face, a portion of my overall superimposed over Ben's. Like she can still see Ben's features slightly through an opaque sort of floating apparition like face, full featured of me over the top of his. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it in movies before. And that, I mean, for someone who's uninitiated to these sorts of this sort of information or things that like this that are esoteric, had any research like that, to someone who's not knowledgeable, it would freak the crap out of anyone to see something like that. I know it would freak me out if I was her. So, but let's hope, maybe she's embraced it all by this time in her life. Okay, because she's about 50. Okay, 50-year-old woman with probably her own kids and married and everything now. It'd be interesting to know. So what do you think about that experience? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about all that. Another experience that I had, okay, in a place called Mitchelton. Now, at this stage, I'm actually around about 25. Okay, so it's been a little bit, it's been about 7 years now. In that 7 years, I must honestly say, I had no experiences, except for one where I was at a rave a rave party, very early days in the rave party scene. And I wasn't doing drugs either back then at that point in time. I swear, walking to the men's room one night from the dance floor, past the pool tables. For anyone who knows the Roxy nightclub in Brisbane, Queensland here, upstairs room, left-hand side, you got the pool tables running down. I was walking towards the men's room there, and you got the lights that hang over the pool tables, and the wall behind that is very dark, but still light enough that you can see people's faces. Well, I swore I saw someone. This is that particular night I saw this experience. I saw what looked like myself, but older, the age that I am now, or a little bit older, standing up against the wall, watching me walk to the toilet. And as I walked quite quickly, mind you, because I was busting, I needed to go. I was walking quite quickly. I saw out of my peripheral vision what looked like me. And I looked to see, and as I looked to see if it was what I thought I saw, they were gone. Okay, that was probably 1995. Okay, but that was the only one instance where I had an experience during those 7 years where I had no experiences. That's just one. Okay, but then roughly around about my being around about 25, 26 years of age, I'm with my, well, actually, yeah, about 26. Yeah, I was going on 27. I was with my ex-wife. We were still just partnered at that point. We weren't actually engaged or anything. Okay. And we lived in a house in Mitchelton. Okay. And I woke one night to a dream that was so vivid, so real, so lifelike that I woke up screaming. And I mean, screaming, not from just being terrified, but in pain. So I'm going to get into it. It's about probably 2 a.m. in the morning, maybe 2:30. Okay. And I'm asleep next to my ex-wife. And I'm having this, what seems like a dream. Okay. And then I'm on top of this building. Okay. And this building has a massive spire on top of it. Okay. There's telecommunications dishes all up and down in the first half of it. And there's a massive city below me, a whole heap of other buildings around me as well. And I remember seeing smoke coming up because, like, as a building is like square, okay, two sides of the building where it meets the corner, okay, smoke was coming up two sides. Now, I could smell smoke, something that was I'd never experienced smelling things in my dreams before, but I could smell the smoke, and it was shocking. Okay, I was choking. I actually felt like I was choking in my dream too, swallowing constantly. Feel my Adam's apple going up and down. Even though I know I'm asleep, I'm experiencing these things physically. Next thing you know, because I'm up on this spire, okay? So obviously whoever's up on this spire is working on telecommunications dishes. Next thing you know, the rooftop of this building cracks open like a riverbed, a dry riverbed. You know how that looks? And it cracks open to the point where the spire goes down into the center and the building itself starts to collapse on itself. And I woke up in absolute agony, in pain, on fire. Excuse me. Sorry, I should have muted that. Sorry, apologies. I could not smell jet fuel. It smelt like a bloody fire. Okay. And I could literally feel my skin bubbling from the intense heat. Smelling the smoke, gasping and choking my Adam's apple, my throat, working overtime to try and swallow and breathe. That I woke up kicking and screaming. That I woke my wife up. And she calmed me. She sat there with me for about 10 minutes. I explained to her what I had seen. My ex-wife put up with a lot. I'll give her a gold medal, mate, for putting up with me and my experiences and things that happened over the years. She was very nurturing, very caring, and she cared enough to sit there with me and help me come back to reality after waking up from such a tumultuous, tormenting dream. It was chaotic, feeling those feelings, never feeling like that ever in my life. Feeling your skin bubbling, there's no sense of but waking up and seeing that there's nothing wrong with you. Okay. It was crazy to say the least. Now, after about 10, 15 minutes roughly of my wife sitting there with me coming back to reality, getting myself composed and breathing normally again, I left her to go back to sleep because it was bloody early in the morning, 2:30 roughly. And I couldn't sleep or go back to sleep after experiencing what I saw. I was in tears. Okay? From the fact that I not only was terrified of what I experienced, but terrified also of going back to sleep. I didn't want to see or feel that again. So I decided to stay up. So I've left the bedroom, I've gone into the lounge room, and as I've passed the lounge room, I've grabbed the remote off the top of the back of the couch. So that's where Mike's wife left it for me. Does leave it for me. So I can turn it on in the morning. Now, normally Mike's wife and I had a thing where if I went to bed early, I would leave it on the channel for her, so that when she gets up in the morning, she can watch what she wanted to. I was sleeping in. And if she went to bed early, before me, she would leave it on my channel for me so that I didn't have to watch the news. Because back then I didn't watch the news either. Still don't. Okay. And if I do check out the news, it's just for the weather. Anyway, this one particular morning, she forgot to change it. Okay, and left the remote on the back of the couch for me. And as I've grabbed it and walked through, I've pressed power on. The volume's obviously turned down. She turned the volume down for me, but she's forgot to turn the program over. And obviously, her channel 9 was on, channel 9, and the early morning news was on. And I just didn't even know. Because I kept walking, I just pressed the remote, put it down, kept on walking. And it took a few seconds for it to come on. And with the kettle being on in the kitchen, because I was boiling the kettle, the sound of the element heating up, the water, and the muffling of the sound really couldn't allow me to hear what was being spoken verbally on the TV, because the TV was at such a low volume, just out of respect for ourselves and for one another and for our neighbours. So anyway, I boiled the kettle. I've made my cup. Back then I drank tea. Okay, still drink tea every now and again, but I like my coffee here and there now. Anyway, I'm walking out to the lounge room and I'm looking at my coffee. I'm taking my first sip. I put my head up, and as I'm taking my first sip of my coffee and looking at the TV, I'm seeing 2 buildings on fire in New York City. Now, I won't go into the bullshit about the planes and that. We all know the truth about the planes now, okay? I'm not even going to go there, okay? We all know it was an inside job. But I'm seeing 2 buildings on fire. And just as I'm taking my sip, the news presenter is going apeshit because the building with the spire on it is starting to collapse in on itself, on its own footprint. Now, for me and Whistleblower Bob, we both agree that as much as there were explosives placed on the outside, and that Project Bluebeam holographics were used to present planes to the public to make it look like an actual attack when it wasn't, we do believe that directed energy weapons were used on Tower 1 and Tower 2 to bring them down on their own footprint, to leave as little debris as possible. I mean, a controlled demolition doesn't do that. Okay, and nor would so-called airplanes burning inside the actual building. So, bullshit. But you can't imagine my dismay and shock when I see this on screen, this particular tower that I'd only just seen about 20 minutes ago prior in a dream, falling in on itself and the building on fire. That I was so shocked that whilst I was taking my sip of my coffee, I was like, spat it out. I was like, oh my God. And I called my wife out. I actually walked into the room. I said, Bub, you've got to wake up. You've got to come and see this. I said, this is the only way to confirm what I just saw in my dream. You've got to see this. And she woke up. She came out and she's going, what's going on, babe? I said, look at that. And she's just sitting there and she's rubbing her eyes. She's like, oh my God. And I said, I know. And she goes, but you? And I said, yes, I know. I just dreamt that. My hair was standing on end. She looked at me and she goes, Chris, I don't know what to say, but that is freaky. Oh my God. Her hair was standing on end. Okay. She didn't know what to make of it. But the fact is that what I believe I was seeing now after, it's been 22 years, I believe now, 24 years nearly since 9/11. Okay. When it happened? 2001. Okay. So it's been 23 years. Okay. Since 9/11. In that time, what I've learned, esoterically speaking, about what I experienced back then was that if there was a telecommunications worker on that spire, on that rooftop of Tower 2, and he was working, and if he was working on telecommunications dishes, what I put down to, esoterically speaking, is that what I saw and experienced was his last moments through his eyes in real time. Because the report that I was seeing on TV was a replay of what happened only an hour earlier. So what I saw in my dream, or what I thought was a dream, was actually me connected on an energetic level, my soul, or he was possibly even part of, we're part of each other's soul groups, that I was tapped into him at his last moments before he died in that fire. Hence the reason why I felt like my skin was bubbling and on fire from the explosions that were caused in the building, which, poor guy, can you imagine? Just like those firefighters who all died inside the buildings, and everyone that died there as well. Funny thing is, it's not so much funny, I won't say, I won't use the word syntax funny. Synchronistic thing is that just recently going through underneath my stairs, storage facility underneath my stairs here in my unit here where I live, I came across a box of video cassettes, quite a fair few highly valued video cassettes, such as original Terminators and Star Wars stuff on video cassette. But I also had a video recording of all the stuff that happened in 9/11. Those particular weeks, I was recording continuously on a particular tape of just getting segments and stuff. And I found that in my video cassette collection underneath my stairs just recently, which I plan on going through so I can break down the footage and have a look at it and see, through that footage exactly what we've been talking about, because it'd be quite interesting. So what do you think about that interesting little experience? Well, I won't call it little because it was actually quite a large one. That one actually was freaky to the point where I've never forgotten it. To the point, to this day, is one of the biggest ones on my list where I can actually describe, like I just have for all of you, at any point in time, instant memory recall of that particular experience. It was so vivid, so realistic in every way. It was unlike any out of body experience or dream that I've been connected like that on that level in the last moments of someone before they pass on like that. I've never experienced anything like that since to that level. I have been connected to others on a different level, but not like that, to the point where I felt their pain in their last moments before they took their last breath. And remember, everyone, I was crying. I was crying not only from the pain, but the fact that I felt someone's death. Their moment they left this planet. Very sad. So for me, it was. So leave your comments below and let me know what you think about that story. Another particular story that happened in that same house with my ex-wife. Quite a lot of things happened with my ex-wife in this particular video. Okay? We were asleep in our bedroom, and one night I woke up to this peculiar humming sound, a low resonance frequency, just a constant wave-like sound, and then it was constant. If you can hear that, you hear the vibration. Okay, so it was a woo woo woo, and then it went to right, and then it was constant. Just excuse for a second. I have a sip of my coffee. and I couldn't get back to sleep. It was actually bugging the crap out of me. So I got up naturally. My wife, she was dead to the world, snoring herself off. Okay. I got up, looked around, looked high and low in the house, checked my hi-fi home stereo system, surround sound and all that. Nothing there turned on. Everything was turned off. Checked my DJ equipment, my amplifier, my speakers, to see if there's any feedback coming through, see if I left anything on. Nothing was turned on. As I said, searched high and low. Last place I looked was when I came back to bed. I decided to look outside. So I parted the curtains, pulled up the blinds. I've looked around, nothing on the street, and I've looked back up. Okay. Looked side to side, up and down the street through my window. And then I've looked up, and here I see, I'm not kidding you, what looks like a giant, at least 200-foot wide, the back end of a giant black triangle moving away from me. As I said, seeing the back end of it, but you can still see the underside moving away from us, moving in towards the clouds. Estimation of width, at least 200 foot in diameter. Okay, from wingtip to wingtip to the back. Okay, same going all the way forward. So 200 by 200 by 200. Okay, perfect isosceles triangle. Just floating there. No word of a lie. And I actually woke my wife up. I had to wake my wife up. I was like, Bub, get up, babe, check this out, Lana. You got to see this. As you know, she does. Got up and she said, what's wrong with you? Waking me up. It's the time. I said, don't worry about the time. Look at this. She's gotten up to the window and she's like, what are you looking at? And she's just gone again, like she did with the TV screen. She's like, is that what I said, yeah, that's what it is. She goes, my gosh, that is crazy, Chris. Is that a UFO? And I'm like, yeah. Now, as I said, back then, this is roughly 1998, 99. Yeah, 99. Yeah. Okay. No, yeah, about 99, 2000. Sorry, yeah, 99 year 2000. Okay. I did not know back then what I know now. And what I know now is that that particular aircraft is a TR-3B. One of the many variations of the TR-3B, ranging from 60 foot in, from wingtip to 250 feet from wingtip to wingtip. And this particular aircraft is one of ours. It's not extraterrestrial in any way, shape, fashion, or form. And it was over my suburb where I lived in Mitchelton in Brisbane, Queensland here. And the funny thing is, where I lived at Mitchelton, the street that I lived on was called Suez Street, named after the Suez Canals. And that particular street was the main road or main street that went to Enoggera Army Barracks. Okay. And a lot of peculiar activity always seemed to happen around that particular base. Okay. As always with every base. Okay. Everywhere you go around the world, there's always peculiar sorts of forms of activity going on. Okay. Knowing what I know now, I can now put that down to, being all connected. Okay, but I did not know that it was a TR-3B back then. I just naturally assumed that anything that had floating capacity and anti-gravity capacity, made no sound, was extraterrestrial. Natural assumption for most of us back then, late 90s, early 2000s. Okay, because like I knew about the Belgian triangle that was being seen in Belgium. Okay, only a few years beforehand, and by that stage in my life, I'd already learned about that. So knowing what I know now, that one that was seen in Belgium, Germany, in 1991, okay, was also a back-engineered TR-3B anti-gravity aircraft owned by US Air Force. Okay? The peculiar experiences that always seem to happen around me. Okay? These sorts of things. Crazy, isn't it? Yeah. I know. I always seem to, and back then as well, reminding everyone is that we didn't have screens on our, cameras on our phones. The smartphone that we have today did not exist. So therefore, taking video footage in high quality 4K as we can today was not available to us. So pretty much, I'm talking just from experience with no real proof of this up in the sky. I do have drawings, hand-drawn drawings that I could present for you and show you. I could have shown these those in this presentation speech now. I'm talking now about my experiences, but just because I mean we've seen so many other people talking about these sorts of topics and subject matter from around the globe, all having these sorts of similar experiences and sightings. Excuse me. Now, another experience I want to quickly talk about as well, because I know that we're getting on now. It's been almost an hour. Is my experience of saving my wife's life from a car accident that could have potentially killed her. Now, one day, myself and my wife went to one of those seminars. What they call holiday sharing, like where you get to pay for a certain space, um, your share of the space. Okay, we're going to a seminar for one of those holiday thingies. Okay, anyway, the seminar finished up. We were walking back to the train stations at the time. We didn't have a car. And as we're walking down the street, we're in heavy conversation, laughing, having a good time talking. And out of the blue, okay, from the left, as we're about to cross the street, okay, I hear the screech. No sooner had I heard the screech, my instant reaction time kicked in. You know, I grabbed my wife from the handbag strap, which was quite a big, strong handbag strap. I grabbed her by the handbag strap and pulled her back. No sooner had I pulled her back from her stepping off the curb, I pulled her back enough spots, four steps enough, that no sooner had I pulled her back those 4 steps, a car crashed into the telephone pole right in front of us. I'm not kidding. We had glass fly across us. Okay? Flew across us. Like a couple of shards hit me, made me bleed, but I shielded Alana to make sure she wasn't hit by any of the glass. But I shit you not, everyone, that was what you call fight or flight, instant reaction. And I moved in such a way that to this day I don't explain and cannot explain how I moved so quickly. Even the guy, like, because I mean, it was at least a 45 to 55 kilometre an hour crash, which leaves quite a big dent in the front of your car if you hit a power pole. Okay, your whole front end's taken out. Radiator, fan belt, fan, pulley system, it's all gone. Okay, alternator, it's all gone. I mean, literally, the front end of this HQU was bent around the front of this power pole. And my wife was in tears from the shock, you know, and I'm sitting there comforting her and reassuring her, nurturing her, just loving her. And we had to stick around, of course, because we had to give a police statement and everything like that. But still to this day, my ex-wife and I still think about and have talked about that particular instance back then, and still to this day, we still cannot explain it. It's one of those things that you just have to shake off as being really out there, beyond the knowledge of normal human scope and capacity of being able to do within the human body. Like what I felt like was superhuman speed, where you move in such a way so quickly. It was like the only way to explain it is like the Flash, you know. move in such a quick way that it's like you're moving out, not outside of time, but moving so quick that things slow down. Yeah, I've never been able to produce or do this since. I think it's more so of a instinctual reactionary thing that kicks in. I mean, we've heard the stories of people with superhuman strength and things like that from all over the planet. Different, videos we've seen as well of people doing these sorts of things, special feats, conquering above normal abilities of human strength or ability to move. Yeah, I think these things are very, very possible, and these things are activating within all of us, that we all have these very similar abilities laying dormant within our DNA. Yeah, I do believe it. So let me know what you think about that experience as well in your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Share some of your own with me as well. So I'm sure you all have pretty much interesting experiences that you would love to talk about as well. So leave your comments below and let me know. I'd love to read them. Another one that happened, I think, in that house as well, was where I actually, well, not I think another one that did happen in that house was where, now I don't like to admit this because knowing what I know now, I would never have done back then. My wife and I fell pregnant, okay, once prior, where she made the decision and I supported that decision because, but really at the end of the day, both of us at that point in time weren't ready to have children. And as I said, knowing what I know now, I would never have agreed to it, knowing what I know now. But she actually had made the decision and I supported her to go terminate. I do apologize to everyone. I'm hoping that it doesn't change your opinion or view of me, because I value human life in such a way that I would put my own life on the line for it now. Okay? Knowing what I know, what you all know about what this world is comprised of and what they do with children and family planning, Planned Parenthood, etc. They do. Yeah, as I said, if I knew back then what I know now, I would never have agreed to it. But I supported my partner, as a good partner should, back then. And she went and did what she did. And I supported her through the healing of that. 2 years later, we fall pregnant again. And this time she was going to go do it again. And I was really not sure whether she should or not, because I didn't really feel right about it. She made the appointment. We went through to the day. I left her be with the carers, the nurses, if she didn't want me to be there. I took a walk down to Queen Street Mall in Brisbane City here, centre of the city. And I went down to the McDonald's there to go get myself some pancakes and sit it out. And as I'm eating my pancakes, this overwhelming, and I mean so strong, as I said previously, I have never felt since this day that this happened. I've never felt a connection like this either since. I felt the most overwhelming connection to an unseen force that wasn't speaking to me, but it was giving me intuitive feelings of, you need to go back, and you need to go back now. You can't do this, not a second time. This is your chance. And I was like so overwhelmed by it that I had tears streaming down my face. Now, whether that be my higher self that communicated with me from beyond, or whether that be my grandmother, who I know is very much watching over me. Either one of the two, I don't care who it was. The connection was made, the message was heard, and I acted upon it. I couldn't get back to the clinic fast enough. I ran like the wind. Okay. I ran so fast that I got back there in record time. I walked into that surgery, and as I walked in, the nurse at the front desk, or the secretary, I should say, said, "Mr. Sinclair." I was like, "Yes." I said, "I'm back." And she goes, "Yes, we've actually just tried to call you." And she goes, "Your mobile phone's out of service." I said, "No, my phone's here turned on." I said, I showed her, "Here's my phone." I turned it on, I showed her, the screen was on. She's like, "That's funny. It says that it's off. We just tried to call you." I said, "No, it's not been off." She goes, "Well, look, Alana's in waiting room 1 and she needs to see you." And I said, "Is it what I think it is?" And she goes, "Yeah." She smiled with a big smile. Like she's not going through it. I ran into that room and I embraced my wife. And she goes, "I can't do this, honey. I can't do this, Chris. I can't do it a second time." And I said, "I know." I said, "I can't do it either." I said, "You're not going to believe this, bub, but you know me, I'm Mr. Freaky." I said, "I just got a message from beyond down in the Queen Street Mall telling me I need to come back. An intuitive message, feeling, telling me that I feel like I need to really get back here now." And she goes, "Are you kidding?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I needed to get back here now." And I said, "And the funny thing is, my phone's not turned off, but the nurse or the secretary at the front desk told me they tried to call me and my phone was switched off around the service area, mobile service network area." I said, "But I just proved to her that my phone was on." So proof that whatever was happening with my phone, whoever was on the other side giving me this feeling of having to get back, knew that my phone wasn't connecting for them, so they stepped in. Something was obviously wrong with the network at that point in time, okay? That their phone call didn't connect, even though my phone was on. Synchronicity. The universe works in beautiful ways. And if you're a believer, like I am, the universe works for you. And I believe more so in my heart that it was my grandmother on my father's side, who was very, very close to me when I was a little boy. Okay. I lived with my grandmother for 2.5 years when I was a little boy, that I've covered in previous videos. And I do believe that it was my grandmother telling me, "You need to get back, Christopher, now. She needs you. This is your moment. Seize it. Your family. Start your family. Have and embrace everything that you've ever wanted. It's here for the taking right now in this moment. Go get it." And I did. My wife and I made the decision to start a family from that moment on. Now, unfortunately, to this day, unfortunately, my wife and I are not together. Okay. And that's okay because we all have our journeys. Okay. My daughter is now a 22-year-old woman this year. She's 22 in July next month on the 18th. And I'm now, approaching getting into my twilight years, you know what I mean? And my ex-wife has found a beautiful partner. His name's Bevan. Yeah, and he's an absolutely amazing partner. She's had two new children, two other children to him. So when you look at the grand picture of things and the way the universe works, is that I was meant to have this beautiful daughter, Sam, my daughter, with Alana, okay, and that we were only meant to be together for a certain amount of time so that Sam could be brought into this world. Whether we loved each other or not is irrelevant. The universe has other plans for us. Okay, we need to let go of those very things that we love the most in order to move forward, so that they too can move forward. Remember, she's on her own path, and I highly doubt that if I hadn't have let go, those two children wouldn't have been born. Okay, they are my sister. They are my daughter's sisters. She has two other sisters. That's beautiful, as far as I'm concerned. That everything was meant to be for a certain reason, and I am so happy that she was able to have two other children to him. Okay, and provide my daughter two sisters. Provided Bevan with two daughters. Can you see the beauty of how the universe works? And I hold no animosity towards my ex-wife for how things ended. We've worked through that over the last 16, 17 years, 18 years. We've worked through all that. We can talk to each other and call each other up. I can call her partner. In the past, I've been able to call her partner. He's even called me. when he had problems with her. Okay? But that's the beauty of things if you embrace them, if you're a believer. Okay? So I'll wrap it up there with everyone for today. What your thoughts are about those particular experiences, because I can tell you now, that particular one at the end, that story of my daughter and I, my ex-wife, is truly special in my heart here. Because when I look at her picture up on the wall there, when I know that she is walking down the street after many years after I'm gone from this plane of existence, my daughter Sam, who I'm very proud of and love very much, is the very proof that I, Chris, existed on this planet. Okay? So saying that, everyone, I love you all. Take care until next time. This is Chris signing out from Star Seeds and Patrons of Down Under. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care till then.